In the heart of Manhattan, the grand ballroom of the opulent Sterling Hotel glittered under the glow of baccarat chandeliers. The city's elite swirled through the room, their laughter and clinking champagne glasses, a symphony of privilege. It was the annual gala for global progress, an event where billionaires and socialites congratulated themselves for their philanthropy, spending sums on a single evening that could sustain entire communities for years. Amid this display of wealth, Diana Johnson, a 26-year-old black woman, knelt on the cold marble floor, scrubbing at a spill of crimson wine that had splattered from an errant glass. Diana's simple navy cleaning uniform stood in stark contrast to the designer gowns and tailored tuxedos around her. Her hands moved with practiced efficiency, but her mind was alert, absorbing the world she was invisible to. She had grown accustomed to being overlooked, a skill honed from childhood in the Bronx housing projects, where survival meant blending into the background while never losing sight of the bigger picture. As she worked, a shadow fell over her. She looked up to find William Hartford III, the 42-year-old CEO of Hartford Industries, looming above. His $200,000 Patek Philippe watch glinted as he adjusted his cufflinks, and his smug smile revealed the arrogance of a man who had inherited a $400 million fortune along with his family's sense of entitlement. "So," he drawled, his voice laced with condescension, "you're one of the special girls for after the party." Diana froze, her cloth still pressed against the floor. She knew that tone, the one that reduced her to an object, a servant, a stereotype. It was the same tone she'd heard at 16 when her mother, a maid, was propositioned by her employer, only to be fired for refusing. The memory stung, but Diana kept her expression neutral. "I'm sorry, sir," she said, her voice steady despite the indignation rising in her chest. "I'm a member of the cleaning staff." William chuckled, leaning closer, his breath tinged with expensive scotch. "Of course you are," he said, lowering his voice to a conspiratorial whisper. "I like the discreet approach. Very professional. They told me there'd be entertainment after the official event. How much for the whole night?" The words hit like a slap, but Diana's face remained composed. Around them, the gala continued its dance of hypocrisy. Guests sipped champagne that cost more than her monthly rent, their eyes gliding over the scene without pause. To them, a black woman being humiliated was as unremarkable as the floral centerpieces. A senator's wife nearby whispered to her companion, their stifled giggles cutting through the air like shards of glass. Diana stood slowly, meeting William's gaze. She was no stranger to prejudice. As the only black student in many of her classes after earning a scholarship to a prestigious high school, she'd faced whispers and sidelong glances. She'd graduated from Columbia University with a degree in business administration, working 3 jobs including cleaning offices at night to pay her way. Every achievement had been a battle against the assumptions of people like William Rue who saw her as less than human. "Mr. Hartford," she said, her voice calm but firm, "there's been a misunderstanding. I'm here to keep this event clean and organized, nothing more." William's smile didn't waver. Instead, he reached into his pocket and pulled out a crisp $100 bill, holding it out with a flourish that ensured nearby guests noticed. "For the embarrassment, sweetheart," he said loudly, "and when you change your mind about the extra services, look me up. I have a suite at the pier. $300 an hour sounds fair, don't you think?" Laughter erupted from a group of executives nearby. "Typical William," one muttered, grinning. "Always to the point," another added. "At least he's generous." The words sliced into Diana's pride, but she didn't flinch. Instead, she stood taller, her dark eyes locking onto William's with an intensity that unsettled him. There was something in her gaze sharp, unshakable, almost defiant that didn't align with the subservient role he'd assigned her. "Thank you for the offer, Mr. Hartford," she said, her voice carrying a refined clarity that made a few heads turn. "But I have principles that money cannot buy." William frowned, momentarily thrown off. Women in her position, in his experience, either crumbled or complied. This one did neither. Her educated accent, her unyielding posture, the way she looked at him without a trace of fear, was all wrong. He laughed it off, turning to his friends with a dismissive wave. "Helping the community in creative ways," he joked as he walked away, leaving the $100 bill dangling in the air like a final insult. Diana stood motionless, the bill untouched. The ballroom's opulence seemed to close in around her, but her eyes burned with a quiet determination. She wasn't just a cleaning lady scraping by, as William assumed. In her purse, tucked beneath her cleaning supplies, was a business card for DJ Consulting, her corporate auditing firm. Diana Johnson had 2 degrees, spoke 4 languages fluently, and possessed a mind that could unravel financial schemes with surgical precision. More importantly, she carried a secret that would soon become William Hartford's worst nightmare. 3 days later, Diana sat in her modest Bronx apartment, the memory of that night still raw. She'd returned home after her shift, her body aching but her resolve unbroken. The humiliation wasn't new, but William's arrogance had stirred something deeper. A memory of her mother's tear-streaked face after being fired for refusing her boss's advances. That day, at 16, Diana had vowed never to let anyone reduce her to an object again. Her phone rang, shattering the silence. It was Jennifer, her supervisor at the cleaning company, her voice heavy with discomfort. "Diana, I'm sorry, but I can't book you for corporate events anymore. I got a call from Hartford's office. They said you were inappropriate and requested you be removed from the approved list for high-profile events." The words landed like a punch. William hadn't stopped at public humiliation. He was now targeting her livelihood. "Did he say anything else?" Diana asked, her voice dangerously calm. Jennifer hesitated. "He suggested you might want to reconsider your professional priorities, that there were other services you could offer if you wanted to keep working elite events." The implication was clear. William was trying to force her into submission through economic blackmail. Diana's grip on the phone tightened, but her mind was already racing. She thanked Jennifer and hung up, walking to her bedroom, where a small desk served as her office. 2 organized boxes held the files of every case she'd solved in the past 5 years: corrupt executives exposed, tax evasion uncovered, harassment documented. Each file was a testament to her ability to turn vulnerability into power. Diana wasn't just a cleaner by day. She ran DJ Consulting, a firm that specialized in uncovering corporate irregularities. Her clients, mostly mid-sized firms, paid handsomely for her knack for finding evidence that eluded lawyers and investigators. Her unassuming appearance, black female, from the suburbs, was her greatest asset. Powerful men spoke freely in her presence. Assuming she couldn't comprehend their schemes or pose a threat, she opened her laptop and began typing. William Hartford 3. Hartford Industries. Financial history, litigation, corporate ties. With each click, a web of information unfolded. Questionable transactions, suspicious partnerships, and a pattern of behavior that suggested William had secrets far darker than his public arrogance. Diana's lips curved into a faint smile. William had underestimated her, and that mistake would be his undoing. Over the next 2 weeks, William continued his campaign against Diana, oblivious to the storm she was brewing. He spread rumors through Manhattan's elite circles, turning her humiliation into a dinner party anecdote. "You should have seen her face when I offered the $100. He bragged at his private club, swirling a glass of $1,000 wine. "These people always act moral until the money's on the table." Diana, meanwhile, had infiltrated his world. Using a fake name, she secured a job as a temporary waitress at another elite event, serving champagne while memorizing every word spoken by William and his cronies. Their careless chatter about deals, payoffs, and keeping certain people in line was gold to her trained ears. It was at one such event that she met Marcus Thompson, a 45-year-old black lawyer renowned for defending victims of corporate discrimination. Diana recognized him from news articles about his high-profile cases. During a break, she approached him discreetly. "Excuse me, Mr. Thompson," she said, her voice low. "I need to talk to you about something important." Marcus studied her, sensing something beyond the waitress uniform. "I'm listening." "Not here," she whispered, slipping him a business card. "Call this number tomorrow. It's about William Hartford and a pattern of behavior that needs exposing." That night, William sealed his fate with a social media post. A photo from the event captioned, "Excellent charity dinner tonight. Love how our city keeps certain people in their place. The natural order always prevails." The post garnered hundreds of likes from his elite followers, but for Diana, it was the final piece of her puzzle. Public admission of his prejudiced mindset. The next day, Diana met Marcus at a quiet cafe in the Bronx. Over 2 hours, she laid out her story, the humiliation at the gala, the sabotage of her cleaning job, and her true identity as a corporate audit consultant. She handed him a folder bulging with evidence, screenshots of William's posts, recordings of conversations where he admitted to undermining her, and testimonials from co-workers who'd witnessed the gala incident. "This is substantial, Diana," Marcus said, flipping through the documents. "But you mentioned more." Diana's eyes gleamed. "I've uncovered irregularities at Hartford Industries, suspicious government contracts, underbilling, and a decade-long pattern of discrimination against minority employees. She slid a flash drive across the table. It's all here: financial records, internal emails, buried audits. Marcus leaned back, impressed. How did you get this? People underestimate me, Diana said with a cryptic smile. Powerful men don't notice the cleaning lady who overhears their deals, or the waitress who reads their emails left open on laptops. The first crack in William's armor appeared on a Monday morning. He was in his corner office, reviewing contracts, when his assistant, Jessica, burst in, pale-faced. Mr. Hartford, there are reporters in the lobby. They want to comment on a CBS investigative story airing tonight about discriminatory practices at Hartford Industries and a federal lawsuit filed yesterday. William's stomach dropped. What lawsuit? Before Jessica could answer, his phone rang. It was his attorney, Richard Kellerman, his voice trembling. William, the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission has opened an investigation. They have evidence going back 10 years, documents, recordings, everything. And there's a sexual harassment and retaliation claim from a Diana Johnson. She's not just a cleaner, William. She's a Columbia-educated audit consultant. You've messed with the wrong person. William's world tilted. His phone buzzed with a Twitter notification. The hashtag Hartford Exposed was trending. Screenshots of his posts, audio clips of him bragging about teaching Diana a lesson, and employee testimonies about years of discrimination flooded the platform. The most damning was a video Diana had secretly recorded at the gala, capturing William's offer of money for services and his sneering comments about keeping people in their place. It had 2 million views and counting. William called Marcus, his voice desperate. Mr. Thompson, it was a misunderstanding. I can explain. Marcus's response was ice cold. My client has no interest in negotiating. We're filing a $50 million lawsuit for emotional distress, defamation, and retaliation. And that's just the start. As William reeled, Diana appeared on CNN, giving an interview to Anderson Cooper. She was poised, eloquent, her dignity unassailable. I grew up watching my mother be humiliated by men like William Hartford, she said, her eyes steady. Men who think money buys them the right to treat people like objects. I've built my career exposing this corruption because no one is above justice. When Cooper asked what she'd say to William, Diana looked into the camera. I'd say every person he humiliated, every employee he discriminated against, every woman he objectified now has a voice, and that voice won't be silenced by money or fear. William's empire crumbled in hours. Investors pulled out, partners severed ties, and his high society friends ghosted him. A leaked memo signed by William, instructing supervisors to creatively fire minority employees, sealed his fate. The hypocrisy of his allies was stark. Patricia Westfield, who'd mocked Diana, now claimed she'd always known William was trouble. 6 months later, Diana's life had transformed. DJ Consulting and Associates was now New York's most sought-after auditing firm, with companies clamoring to avoid Hartford problems. The $50 million lawsuit victory funded the Hartford Act, a federal law protecting workers from discriminatory retaliation. Diana had become a national symbol of justice. William, meanwhile, was a shadow of himself. Hartford Industries was sold, to cover fines and settlements, his fortune gone. He lived in a modest Queens apartment, scraping by as a freelance consultant. When he ran for a small business board seat, employees, mostly women and people of color, organized to block him. A poetic twist of fate. Diana's former supervisor, Jennifer, visited her office, tearfully apologizing for firing her. Your courage inspired me to report discrimination at the company, she said. Diana hugged her. Doing the right thing when it's hard, that's what matters. At Columbia Business School, Diana spoke to aspiring executives. Underestimating someone based on appearance or role is the costliest mistake you can make, she said. A young black student asked how she maintained her dignity through humiliation. Because I knew who I was, Diana replied. Humiliation only works if you accept their definition of you. That night, in her Upper East Side apartment, Diana reflected. She'd started by cleaning wine stains and ended by cleansing corporate America's corruption. Her greatest revenge wasn't destroying William, it was building a legacy of justice that would outlast him. William had tried to put her in her place, not knowing her place was always at the top, forged by resilience and courage.